Debate on Vote 41, Water and Sanitation Appropriation Bill.
I now recognize and invite the Minister, Water and Sanitation, Minister Majotin. The podium is yours.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Honorable members of this House, led by the Chair of the Portfolio Committee, I've seen other honorable members from other committees. Allow me to greet you. I can see you are conscientiously very ready. The Director General and the team, all our guests present here, good morning on this raining day. When there is rain, we in the Department of Water and Sanitation, we know that the heaven has heard us, that our dams must not be half empty, our dams must be full, and that says to us, there is delivery out there, honorable members. Honorable Chair, we are meeting and tabling this budget vote at a time when water is occupying a top place in the global agenda as one of the key issues that require collaborative effort to safeguard and guarantee people's rights as enshrined in the Constitution, Section 27 of the Constitution, as well as Section 139 and 154 on where does government, national and provincial, intervene when the municipalities are unable to provide water as they are supposed to provide water in terms of this Constitution. Yesterday, it was the World Population Day under the theme, Understanding and Managing Population Dynamics is essential for creating a more equitable world that will access water, a world that will access health facilities as well as education, I close quote. Honorable Chair, in this context, the water and sanitation sector in our country is not spared as well as faced with numerous challenges of our own. South Africa is one of the 30 most water scarce countries in the world. And that is caused by economic growth as well as population growth. Yet our average consumption of water is 218 liters per capita per day, compared to the international standard, which is 173 liters per day per capita. It therefore means we use a lot of water as South Africa. Chair, conservation of water, Honorable Chair, is non-negotiable. It is more critical than ever before. We have to work in a collaborative manner with municipalities to ensure that we save water. There's a lot of water that is unaccounted, that goes down the river without being accounted for, and that leave our communities without water. Already, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, 75% of the available surface water has been captured in our dams. And the remaining opportunities for capturing surfaces of water are also very expensive. Honorable Chair, at the same time, the increasing impact of climate change could also result in more severe droughts in the future, as well as more frequent floods that we have seen 2022, 2023, and now as we speak here in Western Cape and some parts of the country, the floods are just unbearable and they have a negative impact. Whilst we appreciate a lot of rain, but also there are some negative impact on that. And that caused major damage to water and sanitation infrastructure. Honorable members, I would like to make it clear that it is my intention to ensure that there is continuity of the various reforms and improvements that were initiated by my predecessor, Honorable Senzo Mchunu. He has done good work whilst he was in this department. He has set a foundation, and I will take from where he left off. And that was guided by the National Development Plan and the presidency's Operation Vulindlela, as well as some of the interventions that were made at a political level. Water security for basic needs and economic growth. Without water security, there can be no economic growth, honorable members. To ensure that the availability of water does not become a constraint to investment and economic growth, and there is sufficient water to meet the needs of our people. Kuba kumelekile into abantu bakuthi bakwazi ukufumana amanzi bewasebenzisela izinto zemihla ngemihla. Ngaphandle kwamanzi asikwazi kuphila. Metsi a bohlokwa ibile o tshwanetse hore re wa hlokomele ka dinako tsohle hore metsi a ha le teng re wa sebedise hantle. Firstly, we will ensure that there is timeous investment in additional water resource infrastructure to capture the remaining 25% that I've alluded to. Secondly, we will diversify the water mix and increasingly make use of other sources of water, including sustainable use of groundwater, water reuse, as well as desalination. The third one will be to implement more effective water conservation and demand management program to bring our water consumption per capita level in line with the international average, and to ensure that industries use water as sparingly as possible. Deputy Minister Mahlobo and Deputy Minister Sitlulo will also elaborate on this. Honorable Chair, water resource infrastructure projects, which are in various stages as per our plan. That is why today you are here to present this budget. Others are in the fundraising stage, others are in the design plan, or others are already under construction. It is important that the honorable members present here are representing their constituencies, and they want to know what is going to happen in the constituency where I am. We might not touch each and every corner, but there are major projects that we are unblocking and we have budgeted for. And in upfront, I will request this House to adopt our budget, because without us having a budget that has been adopted, we might not be able to fulfill the basic right which is enshrined in the Constitution. The projects that are being accelerated include the following, not limited to those. 865 million project to raise the wall of Halzemia Dam was completed in 2023, and I wish to explain this raising of water or raising of the dam, because people think that when we are not building more dams, we are not concerned about conserving water. But what we do is that there are dams that are not big in terms of the capacity of giving water. What we do, instead of starting a new project, we raise the dam to give more capacity to that dam. So this dam with 865 million has been completed, and it will supply water to eThekwini metropolitan and surrounding areas of KZN. We all know that every time you get reports on eThekwini, 26 billion Upper Umkomazi Dam and associated works is also earmarked to provide urgently needed additional water to eThekwini and surrounding districts like Ugu, Herigwala, Lembe, and Gungundlovu in KZN. The 1.8 billion Tswabeni off-channel storage will also provide water to Port Shepstone, surrounding areas in KZN. The new 800 million Stephen Dlamini Dam will provide sustainable water supplies in the towns of Bulwa and surrounding peri-urban rural communities in KZN. 500 million project to raise the wall of existing Klipfontein Dam that will also give additional supply of water for domestic use and irrigation in northern KZN. The Polihari Dam under construction in the mountains of Lesotho, our neighbor, which amounts to 42 billion. Second phase of the Lesotho Highlands project will also provide additional water in an integrated Vaal River system, which supplies Gauteng, Free State, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and Northern Cape. I think, honorable members, we will appreciate that we're trying to reach out to each and every province. The new 8 billion in Tabelanga Dam on a tributary of the Mzimvubu River, which has been tokened for a long time, will provide additional water for irrigation and domestic use in the eastern part of the Eastern Cape region. Another water resource infrastructure project, Eastern Cape, is the 2 billion Foxwood Dam to provide additional water irrigation, Honorable Makhabu, to Adelaide. That is your Sarapatman district. The 1 billion Zalu Dam will provide additional water for the Eastern Cape, El Sigisigi Mdram. So, abantu bangapha El Sigisigi, ufuneka bayazi into yoba amanzi ayeza. The new 600 million Connery balancing dam will improve water security for the Nelson Mandela Metro. We are very focused when it comes to the metros, that metros must be up and running, and we must work as per the constitution, cooperative governance, to ensure that we work together to take the services to our people. The 4 billion new water transfer pipeline from the Crocodile West River to Lipalele area in Limpopo will augment Honorable Makhosi will augment water supply to the recently completed Midupi Power Station, Lipalele Town, and existing Matimba Power Station. The 750 million project to raise the wall of existing Zanin dams. Zanin has been spoken about for a long time. We are going to make sure that Zanin and surrounding areas of Limpopo do access water. The new 4 billion Namitwa Dam in Great Litaba River is also around Limpopo, as well as the 7 billion to raise the wall of the Clan William Dam. I hope, Honorable Chair, you'll be happy that the Clan William Dam that we have been oversighting for the 10 years is now being unblocked. Also in the Western Cape, we have 1.2 project that is underway to ensure that we increase supply in the city of Cape Town. We are also implementing 24 billion Olifants River Water Resource project. But we are going to share this list of projects so that when members are doing their constituency work, when you are doing your oversight, at least you have something that you could refer to and hold us accountable as the department. Honorable Chair, we are also focusing on national water resource infrastructure. Most of the funding that is raised by our Trans-Caledon Tunnel, the TCTA, based on explicit guarantees from the National Treasury. Unfortunately, due to the difficult fiscal situation in the country, the value of guarantees that National Treasurer can issue the TCA is very limited. It is against that background that we're establishing the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency that will work with other agencies. The Dam Safety Rehabilitation Program is up and running, honorable members. Honorable members, we are tabling the budget here of 134 billion, which is divided in various packages in terms of the MTEF, but also we are going to make sure that our water entities also benefit out of this. Honorable Chair and honorable members, it is also important that we do mention that we have the main account, we also have the other account that is also assisting us in terms of revenue collection out of the sales of water. The revenue collection from the sale of water has also assisted us. For the 2023-24 financial year, the national government provided 61.7 billion worth of water sanitation related grants to municipalities. Honorable Mahlobo will elaborate further on this, but we are also assisting a true intervention in municipalities on the grants, but the infrastructure in municipalities is decaying, and we want to work with municipalities that the maintenance of water infrastructure is very important. A particular amount must be ring-fenced in terms of maintenance for infrastructure. We know that honorable members will be asking us about the bucket eradication of bucket system. How far are we? This is not the mandate of our department only, but it also involves other departments. And the more the economy is growing, the population is growing. We see that when people go to an informal settlement, the municipality is supposed to intervene. And when they intervene by reissuing the bucket at a point it must be regulated, that let's come up with other innovative ways of sanitation without rolling back the bucket system. Honorable Chair and honorable members, we are hereby tabling this budget of water and sanitation, and we have to use water sparingly as the country, because we are one of the water scarce countries. I thank you very much, honorable Chair and honorable members. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. I now invite the Honorable Ditebe.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister Pemima Jodina, Honorable Deputy Minister Mahlobo, Honorable Deputy Minister Sillo Sitlulo, Honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the ever-judicious, the ever-resilient, and the ever-prescient Tribune and Broad Church of the People, the African National Congress. I wish further to reiterate our felicitations to you, Honorable Minister, and your two deputies on your appointment as the trio that is entrusted to improve the regulation of water quality, implement resource management approach that is aimed at the protection, use, development, conservation, management, and control of water resources while doing so sustainably and providing support to provincial and local governments in the process. In this regard, our country has made huge strides in fulfilling its legal and constitutional mandate in providing universal access to reliable, safe, and clean drinking water for all our people. This is indeed 4/5, that is 82.4% of households in the country had access to piped water either inside their dwelling or inside their yard, close quote. The ANC-led government of national unity remains irrevocably committed to pursuing this path of social transformation and leave no one behind. We recognize that water resources, 62 million people, are often under great strain, and yet today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be even better. On the occasion of his inauguration on the 19th June 2024, His Excellency President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa probably had this in mind when he said, and I quote, "The people have been clear about what they want. They have described a land in which all may rise above the circumstances of their birth, nurtured by loving families, aided by a caring state, and empowered by initiative, will, and hard work. Through their votes, they asserted that they want enough food to eat, water that is clean," close quote. While we of the ANC laud great progress that has been made in the last 30 years, we remain thirsty and hungry for more to be done to significantly improve the quality of life of our citizens and use our water resources sustainably to ensure that the people have enough food to eat and water that is clean. These are water resources that are geared towards sustaining economic growth that hovers around 5% and more annually, to guarantee social and economic development outcomes in line with our National Development Plan, NDP. We are alive to great and complex challenges that abound in ensuring that water as a source of life and an economic resource demands that ours be an all-embracing approach that selects the best of elements in galvanizing the energies and talents of civil society and the private sector in meeting our NDP targets, driven by proper scenario planning and modeling. Honorable Chairperson, when the Minister of Finance tabled Budget 2024 earlier this year, it was in part aimed at supporting new policies and existing ones, and the work of this department as part of that approach is to ensure that in all its endeavors, indeed, water is life, sanitation is dignity. It is for this reason that the fiscal consolidation that results in the 2.37 trillion consolidated budget spending for 2024-25 must be understood to not represent unlimited resources available, especially in the water and sanitation sectors, but to support existing infrastructure and build new one. This means that the department will have to manage its resources economically, efficiently, and effectively. In particular, it means that where the department builds water and sanitation infrastructure for communities, or where water boards are handed financial resources to build such infrastructure, the department cannot afford to hand over the money, look away, and walk. Every time scarce financial resources are wasted, a citizen, a family faces the risk of not having enough food and water that is clean by implication. And this results in a further immiserization and of the already poor and vulnerable. Honorable Chairperson, the ANC wishes to state categorically here that the Minister and her two deputies and the entire department will receive our unwavering, unqualified support where they do the right things and do things right. And yet we will not hesitate to speak out whenever the department engages in formalism and bureaucratism with the intent to comply maliciously. We will be behind you when you crack the whip, Minister, and your deputies on municipalities that submit no plans to fix their water and sanitation infrastructure and pay their water boards, because when this GNU was formed, it was primarily with the intent of safeguarding the national interest, and thus all the time, its foundational values and principles and basic minimum program will remain at the heart of our daily work. We must accelerate the pace of our work and its impact and outcomes. Nowhere can this be clearer than in our constitutional mandate at section 27, subsection 1B of the Constitution of the Republic, which states that everyone has the right to access sufficient food and water, and that the state must take reasonable legislative and other measures within available resources to progressively realize these rights. There are times when some in our society invoke the part of the Constitution about progressive realization of these rights to imply that we do not have to rush anything and that we can, after all, surrender this role to the market. Our position is that the market and the state must mutually reinforce so that neither fails, and instead weave a collaborative act to ensure the state is ethical, capable, and developmental, and that it serves the interests of the people. We cannot afford to dither and dilly-dally when our rivers and oceans are polluted by raw, untreated sewer that causes cholera and other preventable diseases. In this 7th Parliament, the ANC will work tirelessly, consistently, and conscientiously with all political parties, and not least civil society, to realize provisions of section 27, subsection 1B, and subsection 2 of our Constitution, which guarantee the right to water environment that is safe and clean and other socio-economic rights. It is against this background that the ANC supports initiatives and projects that are aimed at expanding water resources, such as the Umkomazi Bulk Water Supply Scheme and Mapumulo Bulk Water Supply Scheme, both in KwaZulu-Natal, and the Olifants River Water Resources Development Project under the Greater Sekhukhune District Municipality in Limpopo, which form an important part of our gross fixed capital formation to help drive our gross domestic product. It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the ANC to stand here and support Budget 41 and urge all parties to do same, on the understanding that our people have given us the mandate to work together for the sake of their futures and prospects, because bickering and the blame game will not bring them enough food, water that is clean, and sanitation that guarantees their dignity. The ANC has heard our people, and it stands ready to do everything as per their clarion calls. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now invite the Honorable Passon.
Chairperson and honorable members, good morning. The department's performance has seen tremendous improvement since the beginning of the medium-term expenditure framework period. This success is largely attributed to the aggressive implementation of the Financial Recovery and Turnaround Plan. This plan has effectively reduced under-expenditure as well as irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, including unauthorized expenses. Additionally, we have witnessed improved audit outcomes for both the main and water trading accounts and have stabilized senior management through the filling of critical vacant positions. On this, I would like to congratulate the DG, Dr. Sean Phillips, and his management team with this achievement. A further significant achievement has been the response to the President's call to reduce the turnaround time for processing water use license applications from 300 days to 90 working days. The department has eradicated the backlog and are currently processing 70% of applications within 90 days, a notable improvement from the previous 30%. In the past, major water infrastructure projects has faced delays, but these have since been unblocked. For instance, they have accelerated the implementation of Phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, a critical project that will deliver water to Gauteng. Chairperson, we need to thank the department for supporting several municipalities like Mopani, Sekhukhune, Matsabeng, Emfuleni, Rustenburg, Solplaatjies, Makana, Knysna, and Lekwa to improve their water services. This support aligns with findings from the drop reports and municipal strategic self-assessment reports. However, the increasing municipal debt, which stands on 21.3 billion as of May 2024, to water boards and the department, threatens the financial sustainability of the entire water sector. This debt hampers the ability of the water service sector to self-finance. Despite this, the department has standardized the implementation of regularity action nationally, resulting in improving actions against non-compliant water users. Chairperson, it is now the time to implement the use it or lose it principle to protect our water resources. The budget report outlines the processing of the tabled budget and the annual performance plan for the department, including its entities and the respective APPs. It also incorporates observations and recommendations made by the Portfolio Committee regarding the budget vote. Chairperson, the Constitution guarantees the right to water, stipulating that everyone has a right to sufficient food and water, and mandates the government to take reasonable measures to progressively realize this right. The Constitution reinforces government's duty to intervene where municipal service impair people's dignity and to ensure cooperative governance across all sectors. The department must aim to oversee the completion of strategic projects, diversify our water sources, and maintain water resource infrastructure to secure supply. This includes groundwater exploration, acid mine drainage, treatment, and seawater desalination. Chairperson, the department operates two financial accounts, the main account and the water trading entity. The total budget over the medium-term expenditure framework period is 134.9 billion, with significant allocation to various infrastructure and management projects. Despite progress, challenges such as funding shortages for mega infrastructure projects, water losses, and legacy issues like the Whip Dam water access remains. The department must commit to address these issues through ministerial directives, partnership with the private sector, and innovative solutions. Chairperson, in conclusion, the Department of Water and Sanitation must focus on improving South Africa's water and sanitation services, reducing pollution in our rivers and our streams, and find ways to overcome challenges in collecting outstanding debt from municipalities. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now invite the Honorable Mjadu.
Thank you, Chairperson. This is Thembinkosi Mjadu. I'm standing here representing MK Party, led by His Excellency President Gedlehlekisa Mhlanganyelo Jacob Zuma. I want to greet the honorable ministers, deputy ministers, Director General, in the name of our father, Msholozi. Draft report of the Portfolio Committee on the Water and Sanitation on Budget Vote 41, Annual Performance Plan for the Department of Water and Sanitation and entities for 2024 and 2025. South Africa is a country experiencing water scarcity and the provision of water as well as sanitation is a basic need of the right that must be provided to the populations by the access to safe drinking water sources, appropriate sanitation facilities, and the good hygiene, not only fundamental to the health and survival of the people, but also to the economic growth and development of the country. In South Africa, inadequate drinking water, sanitation, and hygiene have adverse effect in non-household settings such as school, healthcare facilities, and workplace. This is in turn affect the health, education, welfare, and productivity of populations. The water and sanitation challenges in South Africa come as no surprise, but we cannot ignore that the fact that things were much better during the term of President Jacob Zuma. This issue was under the leadership of sixth administration, under the leadership of the current president. As they continue to neglect the poor, sufficient supply of safe drinking water is a necessity. The Limpopo province is recognized as one of the water-stressed provinces in South Africa, with Vembe district continue to be strongly impacted by the water crisis. Millions of people in South Africa still lack access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation. Since South Africa has been recognized as a water scarce country, there is a need to act prompt to protect water sources. The availability of water sources need to be managed in sustainable and more sufficient in sufficient manner going forward to make sure that we don't have the same problem and lacking water in South Africa. We remember on the 28th August 2015, His Excellency President Jacob Zuma launched the War on Leaks campaign in Eastern Cape. War on Leaks was about addressing unaccounted water caused by leaking taps and pipes, as well as illegal connection. President Zuma announced that the government, through the Department of Water and Sanitation, will train 15,000 artisans and plumbers to fix leaking taps and pipes in their communities as a part of promoting water conservation. The president went to say that the government loses 7 billion to water losses annually. Former Minister Mokonyana appointed the Rand Water, we remember, to implement that, the War on Leaks project. It was expected to run over several years, during which 15,000 employment youth will be trained in these disciplines: water against artisan and plumbers. This was to ensure that South Africa water and sanitation sector is equipped with the complement and the implementation of water and sanitation safety plan, WWSP in bracket, has a potential to greatly improve the challenges of resources limited drinking water supply. However, the most efficient tools to make YWSP successful is understanding the factors that hinders the implementations of the plan, specifically in rural communities. Uma sikhumbula kahle lapha KZN ngingasho nje ukuthi khona indawo kuthiwa kusejozini, people around Jozini abanawo amanzi, but idamu likubona, it's 1 kilometer away from kubona. Siye lapha ngizwile uminister ade khuluma ngendaba iHezemia Dam. Hezemia Dam, abantu basendwede close to idam laseHezemia abanawo amanzi, but it's 1 or 2 kilometers kwidam. If we are Mhlathuze, there are problems in Mhlathuze. Abantu abanamanzi for more than 3 months to 4 months. Bathi ama-truck afile. Wonke ama-truck afile, abantu abakwazi ukuthola amanzi around Mhlathuze Ntambanana abanamanzi. So uma siya kuma emjondolo baphila kwimeko enzima kabi. If ningake nivakashe khona nizobona ukuthi imeko ongeke uzohlale kuyona, because when you talk about clean water and sanitation into abangayazi leyo. So njenge MK, we are not supporting this budget because this 6th government failed, and if minister uke wathetha ngendaba yomkhomazi, le project iqalwe nini emkhomazi, it's been years, and I think lama contractors alokhuzwayo asuke nikeza umsebenzi, they are failing us. Even the government is failing us. 6th administration government is failing us. So what I can say, water is necessity. We can't live without water, but our poor people in our communities are still suffering. For 30 years, when you go to Eastern Cape, khona apho abake bathetha khona baphuza amanzi ngehakhu, minister. I think you come ke Eastern Cape uyayazi le. Baphuza amanzi ngehakhu. Khona apho baze bathetha amagama angazwakali kahle mawubuka bethi baphuza ikaki.
Mhlonishwa, isikhathi sakho sesiphelile.
So ngamafushane ngithi sengihlala phansi.
Mhlonishwa, isikhathi sakho siphelile.
Yabo, thank you.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. I now invite the Honorable Mushala.
No, thanks so much, Chairperson. Go hlokega shedi le tlhokomelo gore mananeo ka moka a le a tlisha go setšhabeng a kgone go phethagala. Shedi e bohlokwa gobane mananeo a mantši a tlogela tseleng gomme gwa gobala rena re le setšhaba sa thari e ntsho. We need to strengthen Parliament's oversight role to promote good governance and uphold democratic values. Unfortunately, the recent budget oversight process was rushed, lacking the time needed for effective accountability. Public trust in MPs. To manage budgets is vital for our democracy. Parliament must provide enough time and resources for meaningful discussion on budget votes. The Portfolio Committee on Water and Sanitation rushed this budget, which negatively affected Parliament's overall performance. The EFF reject vote 41 and the processes, criticizes the committee for quickly adopting the report without proper engagement. With Chairperson Mr. Basson from the Democratic Alliance showing little interest in addressing EFF concerns. Let me just take time, in short, to define what the EFF stands for. We are a militant organization and radical organization, and we are always on the side of the poorest masses of the people, the dejected, the oppressed. So we're not going to allow you to do as you wish. We're not going to allow you to do wrong things in the interest of the poorest masses of our people. What I've evidenced in this portfolio committee of water and sanitation, we're going to suffer white domination and supremacy. There was no engagement with key entities like the Water Research Commission, the TCTA, and the catchment management agencies, raising concerns about the approval process. Report ya lena ya budget ipaletšwe go beya ditaba ka lenaneo ile e tlhakatlhakanya yona ka boyona kudu ge o ka lebelela rena re le setšhaba sa Tharientsho re te hwetša re le tahlegong mo re te hwetšago re gapeletšega go khuduga dinageng tša borena tša go nona maikemišetšo le go latelela kelela tšhila le metsi a go hlweka gore re kgone go fa diphoofolo sebaka sa gore di kgone go hwetša sebaka sa go ipsina ka metsi kwa melapong. Chairperson, re hloka go tseba gore rena re le thari ya batho ba baso re sentšeng mo kgorong ya lena ya kelela tšhila mo e lego gore ditirelo di a re rona. The report contradicts itself in terms of water and sanitation infrastructure. It says that the water infrastructures are sustainable. How can they be sustainable when there is major crisis in the country of sewage spills and communities? The budget discussion should have examined how the department is addressing infrastructure challenges. These challenges require a comprehensive approach to improve South Africa's water infrastructure. We must modernize aging infrastructure to reduce water loss and ensure a reliable supply, while also improving governance. Water losses in this country for the last 30 years has not been sufficiently resolved. And if one can calculate in monetary value, one could have built a smart city that President Ramaphosa envisaged. And by this, we could have accommodated all the people that have never benefited from what the ANC have promised ever since the dawn of democracy. Strengthening the capacity of local and regional governments is essential for better water management. While the committee delays and engaged in politics of hatred and racism, many people still lack access to water. The entire Sarah Baartman region faces water supply issues, affecting areas like Numa and Butterworth. In Limpopo, 110 villages in Vembe district lack water, with serious shortages in other areas as well. Even in urban areas like Gauteng, people in Hammanskraal has been without water for years, with no solution in sight. This reflects the government's neglect of a basic function, impacting the most vulnerable in society, the children, the elderly, and the sick. Women in rural areas suffer the most, often having to fetch water from rivers, exposing them to risk. Equitable access to water is crucial for addressing historical inequalities and providing essential services to all communities. Effective water conservation and management are vital to reduce system pressure and diversify water sources. Nature-based solutions like protecting wetlands are cost-effective ways to enhance water security and biodiversity. Addressing these issues will help create a strong water system in South Africa, ensuring everyone has access to water. The committee's brief recommendation undermined Parliament's overall oversight role, highlighting the need for greater participation for all members. Parliament must improve report writing practices to ensure policies and budget are analyzed for their impact on citizens rather than just repeating information. But ba rena ba na metsi re kgopela gore the Department of Water and Sanitation e fe batho metsi. Re tlogele go hlwa re itlamo every day re breka re botša batho maaka gore re ba fa metsi a gona metsi. Go to Skukune, go to KZN, go to Eastern Cape as the report says here. As my speech says here, there's no water. People are suffering. They are drinking water with animals. So let's do our work. I hope the government of the
Honourable
GNU,
Member,
the grand
your time has
coalition
expired.
between the ANC and the DA
Honourable
will
Member.
do justice and give our people
Honourable
water.
Member,
Thank you.
your time has expired. Order, honourable members. Order. I now invite the Honourable Hadebe.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister, Honorable the Deputy Minister, Honorable members, every year during this debate of water and sanitation budget vote, the IFP, both in this House and in the NCOP, passionately express the same issues and give the same practical solutions. One of the main issues plaguing the water sector is the poor performance and adherence to standard operating procedures for drinking water treatment and wastewater treatment. We have all borne witness to how dilapidated state of critical and overall lack of maintenance of these structures has left parts of our country without any water for days, weeks, and even months. Some of us sitting here have experienced it firsthand. In the past, we have seen how local economies, especially in coastal cities, were severely impacted by a decrease in tourist activity as beaches were deemed not fit to swim in due to sewage leaks. Chairperson, water is not only a basic human right, but it is essential to life. And it is the duty of our government to ensure access to clean water and proper sanitation facilities for all citizens. On May 29, 2024, the people of this country voted with hope for a new reality, one in which there is no lack of access to safe drinking water and adequate sanitation, especially in our rural areas. We will urge the new government of National Unity Administration to prioritize investment in new infrastructure, particularly in underserved rural areas to extend services. As we have stated previously, our country's water challenges require interdepartmental and multifaceted approach, while we have noted the statement by the Deputy Minister that this department, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agency, the Department of Human Settlements and the National Treasury have allocated more than 20 billion a year in water and sanitation infrastructure grants to municipalities, while providing technical and engineering support and assistance, capacity building and training, and financial management advice and support. We cannot reiterate enough that the role of oversight, monitoring, and evaluation needs to be heavily incorporated by this department to ensure that the availed funds are put to its intended use. In conclusion, Honorable Chairperson, the water and sanitation challenges faced by South Africa require immediate attention and robust solutions. I implore all of us to seize this opportunity to uphold the rights of dignity of our citizens under this new administration. And lastly, Honorable Chairperson, I shall wish to challenge honorable members that sometimes before we come to debates, we call community meetings, inform our communities, those that have no access to water, and inform them that as I'm going to Parliament to debate, I am going there not to support the budget that will see you to have water. Honorable Chairperson, lastly, I have pleasure to inform you that the IFP supports the water and sanitation budget vote. Thank you.
Order, honorable members. I now invite the honorable member from the Patriotic Alliance, member from the PA. I now invite the honorable vessels.
I will take the PA's time. Honourable House Chairperson, Honourable Minister, we are all happy about the rain, and I want to thank the Minister for acknowledging the harsh realities facing water and sanitation in the country. We need to acknowledge the problem in order to address it. If we deny it, we won't be able to find solutions. Minister, your department is extremely important because it holds the key to life and dignity. And that is why we will need to do more. But many of the problems do lie on municipal level. South Africa is a water-scarce country, as many colleagues have pointed out this morning already, and yourself as well, Minister. We are facing the realities of climate change and also desertification that is threatening the sustainable access to quality and clean water for all. We need better water infrastructure and water management, because whilst we are water scarce, we are losing water due to poor maintenance and poor water management. Sewage spills from failing wastewater treatment works are threatening this sustainable access to water. 90% of the 824 treatment plants in the country are currently discharging untreated or partially treated sewage into our scarce water resources. There is a severe lack of skilled water engineers. There is a constant decline in municipal water and sanitation services. We need law reform to legislate the ring fencing of water revenue for the maintenance of water systems. We also need to modernize water management in order to curb water losses due to leakages. But, Honourable Minister, we need to ensure compliance to current legislation. And the Honourable Ditebe is correct. You must crack your whip on municipalities. And I want to plead with the department, with the Minister, to be first in line to go and lay criminal complaints against accounting officers who transgress legislation, environmental and water legislation, and who are responsible for sewage running into our scarce water resources. But let me get to the Nkonto-Wesizwe party. It is untrue that during the term 2009 up until 2018, water was in a better situation than currently. Water losses were higher at a stage. And let me also say this, 500 billion rand was lost due to state capture. How many dams could have been built? How many pipes that are leaking could have been restored with that 500 billion rand that was lost due to state capture under the watch of former President Zuma? I don't think the MK party should stand here and say that it was better. It was not better. People's livelihoods were stolen in that period, those 9 years. We need to, Minister, now restore and build South Africa. We need to ensure that all communities have access to clean water. I thank you.
Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Let me invite the honorable members. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. I now invite the Honorable Kobe.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Ministers, and Honorable Members of the House. Today, I proudly stand before you to bring you the voices of residents of Limpopo, which is a province that I proudly call my home. In our province, the work of the Department of Water and Sanitation is crucial, as many of our people still lack access to clean drinking water and dignified sanitation services. Minister, 55 villages in Guyana for nearly a decade have had their pleas for safe, clean drinking water met with broken promises, and it is my challenge to your administration to crack the whip and deliver on these promises without further delay. Sadly, the residents of Guyana are not isolated. From Sikukuni to eThekwini, Ugu, Qwaqwa, Emfuleni to Johannesburg, residents across cities and towns in South Africa, both rural and urban, continue to face the challenges of water demand that demand urgent intervention from your department. Minister, let us be frank. Decades of mismanagement have brought us to this point. Inherent institutional weaknesses, lack of consequence management, insufficient monitoring of projects, rampant corruption, and poor leadership have hindered this department's ability to execute its constitutional mandate to give our people universal access to safe, drinkable water and dignified sanitation services for our people. Fellow South Africans, ActionSA has communicated its intention to be a constructive opposition. By ensuring diligent oversight and accountability, we hope to make this parliament work on several priorities. We hope to get to the bottom of the Guyana Water Project, where 4 billion was spent without delivering a single drop to our 55 villages. Ensuring that every cent of the department's fund is directed and channeled towards developing and improving bulk water infrastructure and restore institutional trust in the Department of Water and Sanitation through effective governance, ethical leadership, and robust consequence management. Honorable Minister, ActionSA cautiously welcomes and supports the passing of the budget, because we acknowledge the urgent work that the 7th administration must immediately undertake to address the water crisis in South Africa. But let's be clear, passing the budget today is just the beginning, Honorable Minister. The real work will require you to keep your finger on the pulse. We believe that through effective leadership and a genuine commitment to deliver services, we can confront the water challenges faced by communities across South Africa. And ActionSA has already demonstrated this in the city of Tshwane, where Deputy Mayor Dr. Nasipi Moya has provided us with an update on the remarkable progress of the Rooiwal water treatment plant, where the municipality has pledged to deliver clean water to the residents of Hammanskraal by this year, September in 2024. Chairperson, in less than 1 year and well within budget, the city of Tshwane has achieved remarkable turnaround, proving that with the right leadership and determination, it is possible to overcome institutional challenges. We hope that this budget will enable the similar model to be replicated across all municipalities delivering essential services to our people. It is only this kind of action that will fix the water crisis in South Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, allow me to invite the Deputy Minister, Deputy Minister Sitru.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. And thank you to Minister Phemi Majodina for outlining the imperative nature and extent of the budget being debated here today. Honorable members, the constitutional right of access to water, as commemorated in March on National Water Month, cannot be overemphasized. However, it is difficult to commemorate this right while millions of South Africans continue to face challenges related to water in some parts of the country. It is for this reason that this budget places a strong emphasis in addressing the state of our water and sanitation in our country, specifically the infrastructure related to water and sanitation. The deterioration of water and sanitation infrastructure has real-life consequences and affects communities in different ways. Human and animal life cannot be sustained without clean drinking water. Businesses and factories cannot operate without the continued supply of water. Contaminated water can carry infectious and respiratory diseases. Wastewater pollution undermines the dignity of communities, this in terms of aesthetics, tourism, and access to recreation. Water losses and high rates of non-revenue water deprive local government of service delivery revenue. Honorable members, the challenges will take time to address. It is therefore crucial that in this 7th administration, under the government of national unity, we intensify efforts and respond aggressively to these challenges. As previously stated by former Minister Mchunu, the country requires about 90 billion per year for the next decade to close the water infrastructure deficit. This means that the country's water and sanitation infrastructure requires 900 billion over the next decade to be up to standard. As Minister Majodina would have highlighted or indicated, the South African National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency bill is awaiting the President's signature. Once ascended and the agency is established, it will unlock opportunities for the involvement of private companies in water infrastructure projects through a performance-based private-public partnership model. We will then have more projects similar to the Olifants River Water Resource Development Project in Limpopo and the Val Gamagara Water Project in the Northern Cape. Honorable members, the National Development Plan places an emphasis on the importance of strengthening our water resource management, and this is being achieved through the establishment of the catchment management institutions as required in terms of the National Water Act. The purpose of these institutions is to enable local water resource management to involve local stakeholders and local water users while promoting equitable access to water and facilitating social and economic development. Honorable members, one of the key priority reforms in Operation Vulindlela is the consideration of establishing an independent water regulator in order to strengthen the role of the department in terms of being the water regulator as per the National Water Act and the Water Services Act. Under the previous administration, the department put in place an advisory body called the Regulator Commission to advise the minister regarding regulatory matters as an interim step towards an independent regulator. While the Regulator Commission has played a very useful advisory role on issues such as the recent revised raw water pricing strategy, during this financial year, the department will finalize proposals for an independent regulator for public consultation. There have been a number of calls for the department to improve its turnaround time for the processing of water use license applications, as the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Leon Basson, would have indicated earlier. Under the previous administration, the department indeed did implement a turnaround plan, which resulted in an improvement in the performance from 33%, apologies, in terms of the applications being processed within 90 days to 70%. In addition to this, the backlog of more than 1,000 applications was largely eradicated, such that there are now more than 100 applications which have taken longer than 90 days to process. Further improvements towards the target of processing these applications within 90 days will be a priority for the department. Mr. John Westcott will be glad to know that his application to install a hydroelectric power plant on the Grass Ridge Dam will be happy to know that the department is taking this particular commitment very seriously. Honorable Chairperson, it will be remiss of me as part of the sector leader now not to emphasize the need to accelerate water and sanitation provision more than ever before. As our mantra says, water is life, sanitation is dignity. This is a call for all of us to redouble our efforts and be at the forefront of leading the charge in giving communities their life and dignity back. I thank you.
Honorable members, I invite the Honorable Ghana.
Nakhensa mthamastulu vahlonipheki va huvo holobye swandla swa holobye una swandla swimbirhi mati I vutomi mati I vutomi loko ku nga ri na mati a ku na vutomi loko hi tsona maAfrika-Dzonga mati hi le ku ringeteni ka ku va dlaya. So this morning I want to rise for all South Africans to have clean water and quality sanitation services as per the Constitution. If we do not provide clean water to our fellow South Africans, it might very well be that it can be said that we are trying to kill them. Because, you know, we all accept that we've got a water emergency in this country. This crisis is actually bigger than the electricity crisis. And we are not just talking about water that we use to flush and other things to cook, but more is the drinking water. Our people are suffering, and we need to really make every effort that all South Africans receive clean drinking water. So one of the things one would have expected, because we are debating the water budget, even the water that is served here should be tap water, not bottled water. Because we are debating, we are saying we've got clean water, but you see, it's bottled water. It might very well be that one of the things that we have to do as your first act is to say to Parliament, let's drink the water that everyone drinks. Because if we expect the people out there to, we are saying the water is clean out there, it must be clean for us as well. Maybe every member of Parliament should have their water bottle. Then you just get water from the bucket or storage. That's something that we need to look at. I mean, kuna maka ya Giyani. It can't be kure mwana langa tswariwa in 2010 when the grade 9, and has never drank water from the tap. The Giyani water project. Van normal far. The last time El Far mati from the tap, it was 1996. It was 1996. So if we do not address this one, I wish you luck. Rise Mzansi will support, but only if you serve the people of this country. Please, Honorable Deputy Minister, you know the issues of Rustenburg and the Northwest. Please, let's serve our people.
I now invite the Honorable Webster.
Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister, Honourable Members and South Africans that are watching from all around the country. Today we consider the Department of Water and Sanitation's budget, plans and priorities for the medium term. This year, the department will be allocated 42.6 billion of public money to fulfill its mandate to ensure that the country's water resources are optimized. But earlier this year, the department made an honest admission that the national water system is crumbling, Minister. In its admission, the department stated the hurdles of supplying clean water to citizens. They stated poor maintenance in existing infrastructure, recurring droughts that are driven by climatic variation, inequalities
and inequities in access to water and sanitation, deteriorating water quality, and a lack of skilled water engineers. But all but one of these factors are within the control of the department. The only factor that is outside of the control of the department is weather conditions. Access to safe and clean drinking water is a human right, and it's underpinned by dignity. It is also an important economic resource. It is foundational, yet many citizens are denied this. There are villages in Lephalale, Limpopo, where citizens are drinking water with crocodiles. Children are going to fetch water where there are crocodiles and where people are washing and doing all sorts of other things. There are townships like Tozuma in eThekwini, where I come from and where I was born, where citizens there go without water for months, not knowing when the issue will be restored. The latest Blue and Green Drop report from December found that Gauteng has the highest percentage of drinking water systems that are in good performance at 62%, followed by the Western Cape at 50%. However, the Northern Cape has the highest percentage of drinking water systems with poor or critical performance at 87%, and this has deteriorated since 2014. The percentage of drinking water systems with poor or critical performance in Free State has deteriorated since 2014, from 31% to 59%. It's very clear that the national water system is crumbling, and we know this because citizens experience it throughout the country, businesses are affected by it. So it's up to the Department of Water and Sanitation to make sure that this is fixed. There are at least 5 ways to turn the ship around. The first is to end the underspending that is taking place in this department. Last year alone, 44 million was returned to Treasury, not having been spent. And this at a time where 56%
your time is expired.
of the country's treatment plants are on poor
Honourable
or
member,
critical condition.
your time is expired.
Thank you.
I now invite the Honourable Mahau.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, Minister, Deputy Ministers, and all protocol observed. Our current water and sanitation legislation is deeply rooted in colonial provisions that have systematically marginalized Black communities. The laws and policies governing water resources were designed to serve a minority, neglecting the needs and rights of the majority. These outdated framework have perpetuated inequalities and left many Black communities without adequate access to safe water and sanitation facilities. According to United Nations, approximately 3 million South Africans still do not have access to safe drinking water, and 14 million lack access for basic sanitation facilities. This stark reality is a daily struggle for many of our citizens, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas. The water crisis is exacerbated by aging infrastructure, mismanagement, and inadequate investment in maintenance and upgrades. Adding to this dire scenario, rural dwellers find themselves at the mercy of private dam owners who control access to water resources. This is not only unjust, but a gross violation of their basic human rights. Communities are forced to negotiate and often pay exorbitant fees for water that should rightfully be theirs. This monopolistic control exacerbates the suffering of rural populations who are already disadvantaged by lack of infrastructure and investment. It is intolerable that in a democratic South Africa, our rural brothers and sisters are subjected to such exploitation. We must lambast this inequity and take decisive action to reclaim public control over water resources, ensuring fair and equitable access for all. The consequences of this, Minister, of this crisis need you to come closer, because we know as Lalin, abantwana they have to travel long distances. Beyokha amanzi, ngelinye ixesha bangayi esikolweni. Women and girls in particular bear the brunt of these inadequacies. Then they often have to travel long distances to fetch water, missing out on education and economic opportunities. Sithi ke si-African Transformation Movement, we're urging you, Minister, to prioritize the amendment of the National Water Act, because kulapho isuka khona ingxaki. We need to ensure that the Act explicitly prioritize equitable access to water for all citizens, with a particular focus on historical marginalized communities. This includes redefining water rights to ensure that Black communities have fair and just access to water resources. Legislation must mandate involvement of local communities
Honorable
in water
Mahawu,
management.
your time has expired.
But we are saying, Minister, umntu ke siyamnika chance. Simjonge uba uzawuphefoma njani. Nasithi ke sawudana
Honorable member.
sizama ukuthi siyayisupporta i-budget
Your
vote.
time has expired. I now invite the Honorable Ramaila.
Thank you, Chair, Honorable Minister and the two Deputy Ministers, honorable members of the House and the public out there. Minister wa Maloba, Honorables Senzo Mchuna, Reila Guadilo Jarena Baba Mbacho Limpopo, Rerela Gamezi, Adi Huap Railo Fitani, Jasalo Genfe. Right about legal program on a busy about upgrade water treatment plant Ramaleka. Appreciate by the Honorable Minister who the project ela we sure it will be completed. Intervention Kopolokwane, we appreciate it Magalagwen and so on. As the seventh parliament of our democracy, we bear a significant responsibility to ensure the eradication of the bucket system. We cannot at this stage have formal settlements that still use degrading bucket system that many of our communities use under colonialism and apartheid. We must move quickly to ensure that we organize our sanitation infrastructure in accordance with the constitutional imperatives of using every legislative measure and resource to provide South Africans with decent sanitation services. We must continue to live up to our slogan that sanitation is dignity. Honorable members, over the past 30 years, our ANC-led government has embarked on a program to eradicate bucket system in all formal settlements or townships as they are popularly known in our communities. Initially, our government set a deadline of 2006 to eradicate the bucket system, but a number of challenges forced a move to 2015. Unfortunately, the government could not eradicate it in 4 of the 9 provinces, that is the Eastern Cape, Free State, Northern Cape, and Northwest. During the 6th Parliament, our ANC-led government managed to eradicate bucket system in 2 provinces, the Eastern Cape and the Northern Cape. We must emphasize that the program targeted only formal areas or townships that already existed at the dawn of our democracy. The remaining bucket systems are in the Free State and Northern Cape, and the department has planned to eradicate at least 596 bucket systems this financial year. Overall, there have been significant improvements in providing decent sanitation. Honorable members, indeed, progress is being made to guarantee our people their right to decent sanitation infrastructure. The recent 2022 census report supports our right to decent sanitation infrastructure. Even though there are challenges with the implementation of sanitation infrastructure across the country, the census report indicates that there has been a general increase in households with access to improved sanitation from 61.7% in 2002 to 84.1% in 2021. The report highlights the two most rural provinces, the Eastern Cape and Limpopo, as the most improved provinces in terms of providing decent sanitation. Honorable Chairperson, we commend the strides made by the democratic government in restoring our people's dignity through decent sanitation services. These strides have ensured that there is a drastic reduction in waterborne diseases compared to other countries that have the same development status as our country, despite the fact that between the 4 and 5 million people live in informal settlements. Our democratic government has been able to improve the quality of life in those communities through various interventions. In other words, the various government interventions such as piped water in informal settlements have managed to promote hygienic practices resulting in improved health outcomes. The ANC-led government has prioritized the upgrading of informal settlements, and during the process of upgrading, the installation of basic infrastructure such as flushing toilets has been a priority of our democratic government. As much as our government has made significant strides in modernizing our sanitation infrastructure to ensure healthy living environments, there are still a number of challenges relating to compliance with the norms and standards prescribed in the Green Drop certification program. Honorable members, former Minister of Water and Sanitation, the Honorable Senator Mchunu, released the Green Drop Watch report in 2023 last year, which details the state of our water and wastewater treatment plants across the country. According to the Green Drop Watch report, 334 municipal wastewater treatment works in 2022 were in a critical state, receiving green drop scores below 31% across the 9 provinces. In other words, all these wastewater treatment works were in a dysfunctional state. We, as members of this important committee, must be vigilant and act against these local water service authorities to make sure that they comply in terms of norms and standards. As we debate this budget vote today, we should be aware that almost all the local water service authorities are going to receive allocations through water service infrastructure grant and the regional bulk infrastructure grant as presented in the budget vote. Therefore, it is our responsibility to hold those whom we have allocated such conditional grants accountable in this portfolio. And we should encourage the enforcement of consequence management against those who have failed to fulfill their duties of ensuring that we have functional water and wastewater treatment works. Honorable members, we can never stress enough the importance of maintaining, repairing, and refurbishing the existing sanitation infrastructure to avoid sewage spillages. And we are aware that
Honorable Member, your time has expired.
we want to take this opportunity to
Honorable
indicate
Member.
that we are supporting the budget.
Your time has expired. I now invite the Honorable Deputy Minister Mahlobo.
Your Excellency, Chairperson, Minister Majodina, DM Sitlulu, and all our members, especially our Chairperson, when we present this debate as a department, we wanted to say we don't want to tell any lies and claim easy victories. Our dictum in terms of a government of national unity, when it comes to water, it knows no boundary, it has no ideology. We have shared aspiration and we all yearn for a better life for ourselves and for our children. What are the facts? The fact is that this country is not going to run out of water. We are going to be water secured until 2030. But we must admit there are areas and localities where there is a shortage of water, exacerbated by issues of climate change and drought. Our intervention is directed by the Minister, Comrade Pemi. One of the things is that in terms of water security, There's a biggest investment drive by the government of national unity that for water security about 153 billion rand in the state coffers, excluding the money that will come from the private sector, will be able to drive more infrastructure projects, whether Umzimvubu, whether the Polikhali Dam. There is going to be issues of water security, and our planning will be improved and other matters will be attended to. We must admit that over the last 30 years, we've done well. Many South Africans have access to water. But we must admit that a number of municipalities have declined in terms of performance. In as much as there is an issue
honorable
of...
members, honorable members. You are allowed to heckle, but do not drown the speaker. And also, mind the gestures. Gestures are not allowed. As you speak and make your point, do not point out the gestures that are unparliamentary. Continue, Honorable.
Thank you. We admit that local government, in as much as it has been at the center of delivery, there are warring signs. Instead of people having access to water 100% of the time, there are certain communities where they don't have water, even a drop of water, especially women and girl children and in the informal settlement. Hence, this budget of our ministry, over the next period in MTF, more than 47 billion rands are going to be used to support municipalities. That exclude other grants that are coming from human settlement and others, which are actually more than 61 billion just in this year alone. And a number of projects we have shared with you. Communities in Mpumalanga, in Limpopo, everywhere, there is that particular intervention. As the government of national unity, we are not going to sit as a ministry when things are not going well. We are going to intervene. One of the interventions we are going to make, we are going to ensure that there are reforms. The function of water service providers will be a standalone. They are competent, they have the capacity to perform the function. We are also going to ensure that there is a ring fencing of budget. There is a professionalization. Nobody must work in the water sector if you don't know the work. But at the very same time, our intervention in terms of Section 63, whether in Mkomazi, whether you go to the Valley and everywhere, those interventions are going to continue because they're the right thing to do. We are also wanting local government to provide leadership, that they make decisions around financing. Because if the sale of water and others, the budget is not ring-fenced, we are going to intervene. On the situation on water, those who are polluting our water resources, you must know, polluters are going to pay. Polluters are going to be prosecuted. Go home in Mpumalanga to Governing. We have actually got a conviction for them. Go to Lekwa, Tabachew. We are actually going to deal with those who are deteriorating our water quality system. We must also mention that, Chairperson, all the infrastructure projects that were delayed, they are back on track. And the capacity of the department is responding to these issues. Hence, I was saying to members, we don't want to tell lies and claim easy victories. Members of parliament must find time. I stay in the province of Limpopo. Go there, the 55 villages already, projects are on the ground. You go to Skukune, already we're working in the partnership with the mines. That is actually giving us progress. We are working with the mines when it comes to Valkamahara in the Northern Cape. That partnership of a private sector and a public sector working together is going to be important. As I'm about to conclude, this government of national unity is not going to do this thing alone. We will need the cooperation of citizens around our behavior on water use efficiency and how we look at the issues of water and the issues around issues of corruption. Those who are actually doing black market when it comes to water. We are very convinced that the three of us, working with the other leaders in our sector, we should be in a position to look at the prosperity of our nation for the benefit of our future generation.
Honorable Deputy Minister, your time has expired. I now invite the honorable member from Al Jama. Honorable Al Jama. I now invite the honorable member from NCC. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. I now invite the honorable member from NCC. I now invite the honorable member Mure.
I'm ready.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order. Allow the speaker to be heard.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Honourable Members, fellow South Africans, today we debate Budget Vote 41 for the Department of Water and Sanitation for 24-25. As a member of the Democratic Alliance and in the spirit of our government of national unity, I stand before you committed to addressing the pressing issues in our water and sanitation sector and proposing actionable solutions. The most critical challenge we face in the water sector across South Africa is failing infrastructure, particularly at the municipal level. Our municipalities are the coalface of our water distribution network, yet many are plagued with deteriorating infrastructure, leading to significant water losses. The estimated water loss due to leaks, aging pipelines, and inadequate maintenance stands at a staggering 37%. This not only translates to a direct loss of a vital resource, but also impacts the revenue and financial viability of municipalities across South Africa. In Gauteng, for instance, the city of Johannesburg reports an annual water loss of approximately 1.6 billion rand. This financial hemorrhage cripples municipalities, leaving them unable to invest in necessary upgrades and maintenance. It is imperative that across all three spheres of government, we find a solution to allocate sufficient funds to overhaul our water infrastructure, ensuring that municipalities can sustain themselves financially and provide reliable services to their residents. Bulk water availability is another area of concern. As our diverse population grows and industries expand, the demand for water continues to rise. We must ensure that our bulk water supply systems can meet this increasing demand. For example, the Lesotho Highlands Water Project has been instrumental in supplementing our water supply in the Vaal River system, which serves millions of South Africans, including the majority of my home province, Gauteng. However, delays and budget over in additional bulk water infrastructure to support both residential and industrial needs, fostering economic growth and stability. I want to thank our outgoing Minister, Honourable Senzo Mchunu, for his leadership in stabilizing the department and prioritizing these key projects, as well as the leadership of our DG and his leadership team in the department. Working together with our new minister and deputy ministers, we can continue and accelerate this work. The Blue Drop, Green Drop, and No Drop reports provide a sobering reflection of our water and sanitation services performance. The Blue Drop report, which assesses the quality of drinking water, has revealed alarming trends, with most municipalities not achieving Blue Drop certification. Similarly, the Green Drop report, which evaluates wastewater treatment, shows that most municipalities do not meet the required standards. The No Drop report highlights inefficiencies in water conservation and demand management. This all entails that millions of South Africans do not receive the quality water and sanitation, which not only runs against our mandate as members of this portfolio, but the very founding document of our republic. Intervention is hence imperative. Contaminated drinking water, poorly treated wastewater, and inefficient water use are not mere statistics. They translate to health risks, environmental degradation, and economic losses. It is high time we formalize proper controls for national government intervention where local governments fail. We must empower the national government to step in decisively, ensuring that all municipalities adhere to the highest standards of water and sanitation services. This is a shared mandate that all political parties should align with to improve the lives of South Africans across the country. In the spirit of the Government of National Unity, we must acknowledge past shortcomings and work collaboratively to rescue South Africa's water and sanitation sector. We need to adopt a forward-thinking approach, leveraging the strengths of all parties to drive progressive change. This budget vote is not just about allocating funds, it is about setting a course for sustainable, high-quality water and sanitation services for all South Africans. To this end, I highlight the following key focus areas. Number one, increased funding for infrastructure rehabilitation and maintenance. We need to prioritize the upgrading of aging infrastructure to reduce water losses and improve service reliability. Two, the acceleration of bulk water projects. We need to expedite critical projects like the Lesotho Highlands Water Project and the Umkomazi Water Project in KZN to ensure sufficient water supply for growing populations and industries. Three, strengthening regulatory oversight. It's critical to implement robust controls, allowing national government intervention to ensure municipalities meet blue, green, and no-drop standards. Four, we have to look at public-private partnerships, encouraging collaborations between government and the private sector to bring in expertise, efficiency, and particularly additional funding for water and sanitation projects. And finally, five, capacity building and training. We need to invest in training programs for municipal officials to ensure their technical and management skills in water and sanitation services, particularly in rural district municipalities. Honourable Chair, Honourable Minister, the road ahead is challenging, but it is one we must travel together. By addressing failing infrastructure, securing bulk water availability, and upholding the highest standards of service delivery, we can ensure a brighter, healthier future for all South Africans. Let us seize this opportunity to make meaningful changes and deliver on our commitment to the people. I thank you.
I now invite the Honorable Mosikatsi.
Honorable Chair, our Honorable Minister, Deputy Ministers, members in the House, Honorable members, the Department of Water and Sanitation needs to move for speed to restore and rebuild most of our water services authorities in order for them to fulfill their constitutional duty to deliver high quality and easily accessible water and sanitation services to all South Africans, especially the poorest of the poor in our society, most of whom are in the remote rural areas. We in the African National Congress in this August House reiterate our support for the budget vote and the annual performance plan as presented because we are convinced that it is moving in the right direction in restoring and rebuilding capacity of water services authorities. Honorable Chairperson, we are well aware of our government structure, which comprises of three spheres: national, provincial, and local. We also understand that these spheres are regulated, coordinated by various pieces of legislation. The Water Service Act, one of the pieces of legislation, outlines municipalities' legislative duty as water service authorities to ensure water and sanitation supply in accordance with national norms and standards, which our National Department of Water and Sanitation develops and monitors. The report on the Blue and Green Drop Certification Program implemented by the Department of Water and Sanitation paint a bleak picture of the dysfunctionality of many of our water services authorities across the country. In this August House, the African National Congress urges the Ministry and Department to present proposed amendments and reviews of the National Water Act and the Water Service Act, both initiated during the previous 6th administration in Parliament. This will enable the Minister of Water and Sanitation to swiftly address water services authorities that are facing difficulties in adhering to the legislative norms and standards. Honorable members, Early this year, the National Treasury raised serious concerns about underspending of allocated grants by local municipalities, who are also water service authorities. Underspending on allocated budgets indicates that the various water services authorities are failing to fulfill their constitutional obligations of providing communities with safe, clean drinking water and decent sanitation services. We acknowledge that some of our local municipalities lack the necessary skills to properly plan, budget, and implement projects. We believe that by utilizing the district development model as encouraged by the President Ntate Cyril Ramaphosa, we will enhance our government's work. The district development model offers our government an institutional mechanism to coordinate the work of government in terms of planning, budgeting, and implementation of government programs such as integrated development plans and services such as water and sanitation at the district level. Through the DDM, our government will be able to close the gap in terms of critical skills needed to execute the government's mandate of providing services to our people. In short, the DDM will improve the quality of project planning, budgeting, and implementation to avoid instances where water services authorities return grants allocated to them to the National Treasury. Honorable Chair, this August House should urge our democratic government to develop mechanisms and procedures for water services authorities to enable them to recruit, select, and retain skilled workforce. We do understand stiff competition between these water services authorities, the private sector, and metropolitan municipalities, which offer huge sums of money to people with the necessary critical skills. As Parliament, we need to consider the possibility of democratic government offering incentives for certain scarce and critically skilled personnel.
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
Thank you.
I now invite the Honourable the Minister to respond. Minister.
Honorable Chair, thank you very much. Let me welcome all the inputs by honorable members here. Criticism is part of building one another. We take those criticism positively. We are going to make them our stepping stone to move this department forward. However, there are members who can attest on what has been done by this department. Yes, we have not done enough because we are not working alone. We are supposed to work with municipalities. I'm making, therefore, a clarion call to all municipalities that when we roll out the unblocked project, they must be ready to reticulate that water so that the water must go to the people. There is a misunderstanding as if we supply direct to the communities. There are separation of powers, there is corporate governance, and therefore we're going to make it a point that this coming month, we're going to meet with each and every municipality so that we establish clear working norms and standards. Where we have a project, the municipality must plug into that project to ensure that our people get water. I'm a product of a rural village where there is no water. In the state spread Joe Gabi region in Sinku municipality where I come from, there are 139 villages without water. My village is part of those. So I don't research about lack of water. I know what it means, what pressure it puts to women, children, and persons with disabilities. And therefore the interventions by the ministry and this department will go a long way in changing the lives of our people for the better. The issue of Vembe is part of the district municipality that is benefiting through the Nandam bulk water supply. Same apply with Jozini. Those are the areas where we are intervening. The ministerial intervention is very clear on section 63. We are intervening on municipalities when they are unable to discharge their mandate, but we don't take over, not unless there's an intervention through Section 154, an intervention through Section 139. But we must respect the separation of powers as well as the role of each and every sphere that is outlined distinctly, very distinct in the constitution. We are also assisting Umkhanyagude through Mandlakazi water scheme. The Halzamere dam, I reported about it, that it is completed, but the municipality of eThekwini is supposed to plug in that project so that it can raise its capacity. Honorable members, we really appreciate all your inputs, and the DG and the team is here, the two deputy ministers are here. We are going to take some of your inputs here, and when we draw our action plan, we are going to do that, and rest assured, we're not going to stay in the office. We're not office bound, we're not managers of offices, but we're public representative, and our people said it very clear, we need clean water. We need access to water. We need municipality to provide us with water. We're going to ensure that we also call a public-private partnership and see how far can we go. In the areas where we have already cooperated with the private sector, we have seen that there are positive spin-offs. I did not outline all the projects that are there. Eastern Cape, Makana, we have been intervening. We know the challenges around Makana. We know the challenges. Into yokuselwa kwabantu amanzi, basele amanzi nehagu nenkomo, iqhelekile ingakumbi kwezandawo zakuthi esisezilalini. Kodwa imelekanga ibe impilo leyo ephilwa ngabantu bakowethu. And xa sisebenzisana kunye sizakwazi into yoba siyisuse lento lokhu re dira mmogo ha re dira mmogo re tla kgona hore re bone re phethula dinto kulabeka kore yitira kahle yitira loku bulabulisana kahle kuri swesi kuna shilesh. How do we move forward? So that will take us to move forward. So it is important ukuthi xa sithetha ngamanzi, imanzi ayonto sinovele sidlale ngayo. Amanzi yimpilo, amanzi lucoceko, amanzi sisidima esiya ebantwini. Thina silelisebe sithunyelwe lonto into yoba masincedise into yoba infrastructure ithi ukwenyuswa kakuhle ihoywe. Siyabulela kuni nonke malungu kwaye asikhathazeki noba nizithetha kakuhle okanye njani sizawuqhuba thina sibheke phambili ixesha likho. Siyabulela.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, honorable members, and order, honorable members, order. Members, you are reminded that there are two debates that are scheduled for 2 o'clock today. The Small Business Development Vote Budget, which will be in room 46. The Women, Youth and Persons with Disability Budget Vote, which will take place in room S12A, the same venue. That concludes the debate and the business for the mini plenary session, and the mini plenary will rise.